Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. Just checking my sound. Yes, looks like sound check passes. Should have done that before, but oh well. Can't be too organized anymore. That would just kind of blow my historical pattern, wouldn't it? The world's largest swimming pool is located in Chile. Huh, okay. I don't know, like, why do people even want to break some of these records? Okay, so, I don't know, it's been a little bit quiet this week. I did not find very many Mandelas. I think Jackie was busy, but I actually made an effort, and I didn't find much. So, I think it's just one of those things. You guys were talking about sleep, so my sleep has been weird for years. And, you know, back in the day, I could sleep a normal 8 hours. I'd wake up. I felt like rested. Somewhere along the line that went away. And I've worked really hard on my health in the last years, and I've gotten some of it back. Like, I do feel better in the morning than I used to. I do feel like I get some ordinary sleep, sort of. But it's been weird. The last month, I would say, or so, is that I will wake up and think I slept 8 hours. Like, it feels like 8 hours passed. And then I will look at the clock and it's like 2 hours. And then I'm confused because it's just wrong. And though I go back to sleep because it's the middle of the night. And then I do sleep more. And I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. So I'm getting sleep, but the supplements help, and that's a lot of it. The supplements help. I think the two that are really helping me right now are methylene blue and peppermint oil. Ta-da! So that's like mostly water and some drops of methylene blue and some drops of peppermint oil. And I'm not sure exactly why that's really helping, but it is. So like every time I feel a little off or something, just a few like swigs of that, and then some before bed. And if I wake up and I don't feel good, some. And, yeah, that's helping. You didn't get rid of the... Oh, yeah, I didn't get rid of the crowns because I totally and utterly forgot. So I apologize. I was reading that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I apologize. You know, one of the problems with me is like when I do one thing, I focus on that, and then I'm done, and I don't think about it again until the next time. So I need to write it on like a note or something. Yes, you do. Like the dye, it's like a weird stuff, methylene blue. It was originally formulated as a dye, and then somewhere along the line, like a long time ago, they figured out it really helped from malaria. And again, I forgot why it was. Is it weakens the malaria or something? But it doesn't hurt you any, but it weakens the malaria. So, but it stays as a dye. So the body like ejects it through the urine, and it's still a dye. So then you have like, it's still blue when it comes out. So it looks weird. B12 gummies help. Yeah, you know, if you've only got one nutritional problem, then you can sometimes solve it if you can just figure out what that one was. I think for me, there was a lot, and I did need, the Bs were big, and then, carnitine. Alcar is the best because it has, the carnitine, and then it also has the methyl groups, because sometimes people are low on either or both. So it's a 2 for glycine, a whole bunch of stuff. But I think I kind of caught up on a lot of that. And now it just seems like I don't know, knock on wood. But it's, watch what I eat. And those two seem to be helping a lot. So I'm not sure what's going on, because these two both help for like fungal and yucky stuff in the gut that you may not want. Like they kind of like knock back a lot of unwanted things, but they don't really hurt the wanted things too much. But they also are both useful for mitochondria. So is it a twofer, or did I just have one problem with the other problem? I don't know. I do think I had a lot of nutrition deficiencies, but I think I've sorted those now. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know why it's so complicated in this timeline. So if you do try methylene blue, I do recommend that you There are some dosage recommendations floating around that are more like for clinical levels of use. I do not recommend them. I strongly recommend that you take only 1 drop the first day, see how it is, maybe take 2 drops the second day, because some people really only can take a little bit and some people can take a lot. And there's people who can only take 4 drops, and then there's other people who take 20 drops. And the thing with methylene blue is it kind of revs up your mitochondria, and it helps also with inflammation. But how much is right for you really varies insanely wildly. So don't, like, I hear a lot of people just take, oh, I'll just put 30 drops in, and then they feel all anxious or bad or weird, and then they're like, oh, this stuff sucks, you know, but it's probably because they took way too much. Like, I only can do about 8 or 9 drops at a time, and that's it. And I've definitely heard people who do less, so be very careful. Peppermint oil, pretty safe. Just tastes like minty mentholy. The only thing I would say is if you take it in your bedtime, it does relax some of your stomach muscles, and it can contribute to reflux if you have that problem. Don't take it in your bedtime if you ate a big meal and or if you have reflux. I actually just find that as long as I didn't eat a big meal, there's no problem. Like, I didn't eat a big meal close to bed. It's always hard to start something new. It's like, yeah, I kind of know what you mean. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of things like that where there's a part of me was going, it'll never work. Don't waste your time. It's like the negative Nelly side. Like, you're just going to screw it up. And I'm like, wait a minute. What if I don't screw it up? What if it does work? I have to kind of like rewrite the narrative. I'm getting better at that, but it, still sometimes, is there an edible methylene to blue? Yes. Amazon sells the, I don't know what they call it. Food grade, I think is what the word is. Food grade methylene blue. Did you know the Windows desktop image? Is that blue sky and the green grass one? I'm not sure which one we're talking about for the Windows desktop, Windows 10. I don't remember now. We're all computer generated. Yeah, I know. I do feel like that's a thing. Like, there was a lot of things that used to be just legend or images that were fake, and now they're like, oh, actually, these were real. So it's almost like certain timelines like bled over into other timelines in different forms or something. Yeah, which one did I get? I got, I think I got, let me see which one I got. This one. I don't even know what company this is. This one. It was on Amazon, but I'm not sure what brand it is. It doesn't seem like it's like super hard to make or anything. So, yeah, it helps with energy, brain fog, and mitochondria. I mean, I would definitely try to pair it with eating healthy and all that other stuff too, but okay, speaking of weird stuff that used to be, yeah, you know what? I didn't really find too many small bottles of it. And then for the price, that one was good. So, yes, that one will last a long time. And I actually have 2 because sometimes I'll just have one at work and one here. Be very careful about this because it is a blue dye. And it will stain like everything, including your sink. So, I find, though, that if you get, like, citric acid or vinegar or something, like a real sort of acidic thing, and pour on the stain, a lot of times you can like work it out that way. So basically this stuff turns clear if it gets electrons donated, I think, if I understand that right. So if you put on something that donates electrons, it turns to its clear form. And then there might be molecules of it in there still, but you don't see them as blue anymore. But sometimes it'll turn blue again later, so that's kind of a problem. Like one time I got some on my lip and it was all blue. I'm like, oh, I'll just rub some vitamin C on there, right? And then it all disappeared. But then later in the day, the oxidation from the air, it had gotten blue a little bit again. So then I rubbed more of the vitamin C on, and then that got rid of it, and it stayed gone. Also, let's see. I might have some on my tongue. It kind of gets the tongue a little blue too. So if you throw it, that's one of the reasons I put it in water, because it's not the world's worst taste, but it's not amazing. If you put it in the water and you put it in peppermint oil, then you don't really taste it because the peppermint oil blocks it all. And then swig it way back. I heard that if you consume with a straw and then it goes way in the back of your mouth, then your mouth won't be blue for 3 hours. You should have seen my hands when I was in the lab. Black from silver, blue from methylene blue, brown from iodide. Well, that should kill most of the germs when you think about it, because I'm pretty sure silver kills germs. I know methylene blue kills a lot of funguses, and it has been shown to be somewhat active against staph and a couple other ookies, but mostly fungus. Who knows what all. Iodide kills just about all the germs. So, I mean, really... you could be germless. I wonder if I combined all of those. Yeah, turmeric stain's bad, but you might find that this takes the cake for staining. I'm just telling you, it's just like this thing, there's only a few drops in here, and a few drops in water will still stain the heck out of everything. So yeah, most of the methylene blues on Amazon are food grade. I didn't see too many that weren't. The stains never get out of the clothing. See, if you had to wear black, then you won't see it. You could try really soaking it in vinegar and see if you can turn it to the clear form. It might be worth it. But they did used to use it as a fabric dye back in the day. I don't think it's the best dye in the universe for fabric, because I don't think it's quite as color fast as a lot of the dyes that we now have. It would probably fade. But back in the day, and then the royalty also kept it around because it is a treatment for cyanide poisoning. So apparently cyanide, I'm trying to remember all the details, and I'm probably a little bit off on it, but basically cyanide does something where the oxygen transport in the mitochondria doesn't work right, and then you just kind of die because your cells can't get oxygen and they can't make energy. So the methylene blue somehow bypasses the block enough so that you can survive until your body can clear out the cyanide. It's something like that, but yeah, no, I don't mean acid, just a light acid, like vinegar or citric acid, stuff you'd use in cooking acids, not freaking acids. Yeah, cyanide. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a cyanide expert, but I know that it's a treatment for cyanide. They use it for a few things in medical. One of them is if they, I think if they work on the bladder in certain areas, they'll put a bunch of methylene blue in there and see if there's any, to make sure there's no leaks, because you'll totally see that. There's a super rare genetic thing where you have a kind of a weird blood oxygen transport system. If you have that, then you can get anemia from this. It's extremely rare. I've actually never encountered anybody that actually had it, or heard of anybody who took methylene blue that actually had it. That's another reason to go really slow on this. I mean, anemia, you don't keel over dead in a second, and it's extremely rare. But, if you don't take a giant ton at once, then, you're not going to have a big problem. It is a little bit of an MAOI inhibitor, but it is very light. You have to take a huge dose and be on other MAOI inhibitors. to have a problem. There's never been a problem with anybody that wasn't already on another MAOI inhibitor and actually took so much of this that they do sometimes give it via IV, and it was people who got it via IV that actually had the problem of too much when those two combine. So, but again, if you do 1 drop at a time, slow ramp up, that's another reason why I recommend that. I mean, like, if you really look at it, aspirin is more dangerous than this stuff, but because people are used to aspirin, they don't think of it that way. So you kind of have to look at that. And I always tell people, you know, you probably need to be a little somewhat careful with methylene blue, but you don't have to panic like a lot of people think. But I think some people are just too lackadaisical about aspirin because you know they're so familiar with it, and you know, you can have problems with too much aspirin. All right, so speaking of stuff that used to be legend and is now coming into reality is ball lightning. I don't know if you guys heard, but apparently we've got a video now of ball lightning, and it just kicked in, I don't know, what, 5-ish days ago or something. This week sometime, somebody got a video of ball lightning. Now, supposedly they were on tornado watch, which is interesting, in Alberta, Canada. And they saw this and started taking video. Now I'm clicking in here at the end because I want you guys to see it as it disappears, because it's weird, because they said they heard like a pop noise, and then it looks like it turned into 3 small dots really quick and then disappeared. Now, I'll go back to the beginning, but
we're under a...
See how it goes to 3? Let me turn off the sound. We don't. It goes to 3 and then disappears. Bloop, there. So that was pretty bizarre. So some people are saying maybe there's power lines, but then they're saying no, there's not power lines back through here. So they're saying no, stop power lines. So that's it. So let's see, that ended at... I actually had to look pretty hard to find the video where it showed the end. For some reason, a lot of the video cuts off before it disappears. We can go back to the beginning here. So, yeah, if you saw that in your yard, you probably would take some video as well. Now, they're saying it lasted about 23 seconds. I don't know if they got... I mean, it was obviously going before they started taking video. I'm going to jump around a little because I don't want to get a copyright strike. But you can see it looks like it's kind of moving along. It's lighting the ground. So some places are saying this might be ball lightning. Other places are saying, yes, this is ball lightning. I mean, obviously, who the heck knows, but there was no word about having actually had a lightning strike first that I could find. Okay, so they zoom in on it. See, I just don't see any evidence of any power lines in here. Now, maybe, you know, something will change in the next couple shifts or something, but okay, I think it's about to disappear. Doink. It is gone. Okay, now they're just gonna, like, it's gonna go back over again. They're just repeating at this point. So anyway, pretty bizarre. Alberta, Canada apparently has ball lightning, I guess. Our weather was very strange today, and I'm dead south of Alberta in the U.S.-California border. So this ball lightning was some time ago. This one is July 2, so actually that's like 8 days ago. Posted 5 days ago. Okay, so I found it this week, but apparently it was July 2. So yeah, yeah, somebody's got a big point. This thing is very large. There's a few people trying to say it's power lines. I have not seen power lines have a circular ball thing like that and then I don't know, usually it's kind of, yeah. And even the way the power lines act now is different than my old time lines, but it's also, I've not seen any that act like this. So This is another weather anomaly. Let's check it out. Oh, pic taken from space by astronaut. Okay, so that's more of those weird sprite things. Boy, they're getting like more crazy all the time. Oh, I mean, remember like a few years ago we had nothing but vague, like one blurry image from a distance, and now it looks like a full-on space monster coming up. And you know, how long have we had this supposedly had the space station up there, and we're only finding them now? But of course, if you go back in time, now there are plenty of older images. Doesn't even look like a storm capable of producing lightning. Yes, I know. I know. On the ball lightning, I assume you mean. They said it was real, not AI made. I remember when the only records of ball lightning were in old illustrations and books, and a couple claims from fringe research. Exactly. That's exactly it. But now if you look back, they've known about this for a long time. Spaghetti monster jellies, yeah. And we thought at the beginning of the Emmy, the clouds are the strangest things. I know. Remember the low clouds? Oh my God, they're so low. And of course they still are, but then the weird rainbows, and like I used to have these thick, simple rainbows, and now they're thin, but they're all different shapes, and they're so intense, and it's just creepy. The last one I saw, and I was just like, ugh, because it's cool, but it's not my rainbow. Like, it's so high, and it's so it's almost like it looks like the AI made it and sucked and didn't know what a real rainbow looked like. But that is what they look like now. Check Egypt again. Actually, I'm going to be checking the the UAE. They won't let them dig under the pyramids. Well, you know, Sphinx has like a trap door in his side, and you can see like rungs and ladders going down now. So like the whole thing, like, ooh, there's a hidden chamber underneath the Sphinx. It's not hidden anymore. You can see the door in his side, and somebody was just stuck their camera down there, and you could like in through the grating, and you could see, and like I had that on the show. What, like maybe 8 months-ish ago or something. So there's all kind of stuff under there now, and you know, how can that just be there, but then there's nobody talking about it? Then if you really look, there's a few videos where somebody's going, how can that just be there and no one's talking about it? Same thing I just said. Like, I mean, like, how can Zahi Hawa, says he is said in this timeline, how could he just like never mention it? You know, like, how come nobody ever said, hey, what's that thing in the side of the Sphinx where there's a big stairs going down? We had one of those crazy double rainbows that had black in between the two rainbows just last week. Yes, yes. So now they're not only they're black in between, but the center chunk, it's real light now. And that happened on the one over here too. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be like a portal now. It's going to, I mean, it's going to be like a bright portal with a black, like, it's going to be like the Stargate. You know what I mean? Like they're turning into Stargates. Pyramids are on rocks. This is really something I can't believe. Really? And the top rainbows is inverted. Yep. And when they first showed up, the double rainbow had the same pattern. They weren't inverted. And then suddenly they were inverted. So basically between, if there's two of them, between is getting like darker and darker. So I'll just show you. Rainbow. Okay, so you can see it. Oh, that is a weird one. I haven't seen that. So that's a triple. Is that real? It's hard even hard to tell anymore. Okay. I think it is. It looks, oh, it's hard to tell. Okay, so yeah, here we go. Classic one that we're currently dealing with. Dark in the middle, and then this part now is getting really light. The other thing is I'm seeing like a lot of these where you don't see the end of it, because, so in my old reality there was just like one arc that you would always see them at, but now they could be, look, these are real wide apart. I think that one's real. I've actually seen some that bright, so even though I want to say it's AI, that could be real. So the thing for me was, see the thickness of these two together? That was like the thickness of the whole rainbow for me back then. They weren't like laser edged like this. So the whole rainbow was about this thick, and it wasn't quite this bright, and the colors are a little more subtle. I mean, you could clearly see them, but they weren't like screaming neon in your face. So now somehow the original rainbow, like, look, if you saw this from a distance, you can barely see the color lines. It didn't used to be like that. But so the thickness has somehow shrunk on each one, but now it's doubled. And then they're also starting to get where they have supranumerary, which means there's additional rainbows. Like this one will just continue, like it mirrors. And so that's the reason, one of the reasons it kind of shocked me when I saw this last one. It had been years since I saw it, and then I saw it, and it's, the individual ones are too freaking skinny. See, this is more like how I'd want to see it. That's more like how it should look. I'm pretty sure this only looks big because of the way their camera settings are, but oh, there's a lot of these weird extra ones now, even since last time I looked. Oh, that one's bizarre. So there's one here. That one has a weird, that one is weird because it's, one foot is behind the hills and one foot is in front. I haven't seen that look before. Okay, so we're getting more and more of these extra ones. 2 double rainbows. Dun, dun. It pays to every now and then. Yeah, the other thing I'm seeing is more of these like plain color ones. Like these, I guess, are like a fog bow of some type. Is that one even real? I don't know. Another fog bow. See how light it is in here? This one also illustrates it nicely. So yeah, it's like a portal now. Just crazy. Oh, check that one out. Huh. Okay, well, you get the idea. It pays to check these every now and then. Inside of the rainbow is darker than outside. Oh, I'm not sure on that one. I just remember colors. It wasn't really darker or lighter. There was just colors there. I mean, I guess it was a little bit lit. I'm talking, you know, 15 years ago or something. Opening a soda in case you hear hissing noises. The pyramids are made of the bricks that melted into those block shapes. Some of the bricks are still visible in a few places. Oh, interesting. It wasn't like that from before, though, because for me, the pyramids were all beautiful, smooth on the outside and perfectly formed. Now they're all kind of scrabbly and scungy, and I don't know. I mean, they're still amazing, but they aren't the perfect planed. So the story used to be that you couldn't even put a piece of paper in between the rocks because they were so perfectly cut. And that was part of the marvel of the outside of them, is them perfect cutting of them. I don't think I was on that timeline where so when the double rainbows first came for me, there was just two rainbows, and then slowly we started to see a darkness on the inside between the two. And it was subtle at first, and then it got darker. I don't remember it being darker underneath, though, for me. I'm from the Yellow Sun timeline. Yes, I am from there, too. Okay, we did the ball lightning. I think I had this one on the other day. It looks less ball-like. This one's very ball-like. Huh, was this one? I think this is a different one. Oh, okay. I think this is an image of one, and then they're using it for the Alberta one. Okay, got it. So, I hate that because they're just generating images. Either they're AI or they're just stolen from another event, and then you watch the video and that thing is not on there. So it's like super irritating. Okay, no, that's just art. Rid of this. Okay, this one is from I don't know what name I should use. Cheesy, I guess, would be one potential name, and it's about the axolotls. Okay, those have been weird for a while. There's a couple things. First, I noticed while looking at something else that for these guys, I just remember them having like a gill, like a fringy gills. And they had like some fringe sticking out of their gills. That's how it started. Okay. Now we have it where they've got 3 tentacles of gill coming out. Now, they were just fringy gills. They didn't have actual full-on tentacles before. So somewhere along the line, it turned into that sneaky style tentacle gills or whatever the freaking hell. So that's the first thing I realized. When did it get like that? The Mandela is so sneaky. Okay, so that is thing 1 about these guys. Thing 2 is apparently now... So it was actually from early on the story that they could regenerate lost limbs or tail. Okay, so that has been around for a while. But apparently now the story also is you could like cut off a limb or parts of a limb and stick it somewhere else on the animal, and that it'll grow another limb. And so theoretically, I guess you could have an animal with 6 or 8 or I don't know how many limbs on here. Now, weirdly, I can't find any images of said beasties. You would think that they would for sure take a picture of the crazy thing they made. It's apparently not all that hard to do and has been done, but yet there's almost no images of it. Let's see, here we go. So this was known 250 years ago, some of the initial experiments. So 250 years ago they did this. Okay, so here, look, you can have an extra arm here. You can have 3 hands on 1 arm. All of this stuff was, you can even, here it shows that you can take like the arm and then graft the hand back into the body, and it'll be like a closed loop. You can have that. So it says, if you graft regenerating tissue from the right arm to the left arm, you can induce an extra limb. And apparently the extra limb forms properly for the side it's on, so it doesn't form backwards. You can also make a circular arm if you cut the limb and reattach it to the body. That's that image. Amazingly, the circular arm will grow in the correct polarity, forming an upper arm instead of a lower arm. So the part that sticks into the body, it'll be like two upper arms or something, is kind of the impression I got what they meant like that. Anyway, so they're just kind of talking about that stuff. But you would think it doesn't, like, if you read this, that basically they can take some of the regenerating arm and then just like transplant it to another spot, and then it'll grow. First, the arm that was supposed to regrow will grow, plus the other chunk of bud stuff will also grow an arm. So, like, you would think people would be doing this. Like, wouldn't people just do this in college and stuff? I mean, like, I remember when I was a kid, we cut up planarias and then they grew into a bunch of little tiny planarias. The planarias are little tiny flatworms, because that was like one of the few creatures that could regenerate, but it was like that big. And we did that, and so it just seems. And we dissected frogs and stuff like that, and that was a part of every childhood in my era, but yet somehow nobody did axolotls with extra arms, and like it's not even as nasty as like killing stuff and dissecting it, because the guy is fine, he's perfectly healthy, and he just has an extra arm. He probably doesn't mind even having an extra arm. So why aren't there a bunch of images of these dudes with extra arms? That's what I want to know. You'd know we'd want to do it. So what they're doing, Chloe, is that one, he loses an arm. First, you could transplant that one. But second, if this one that's growing back, you can take a little sample of the grow back stuff and transplant that, and then it'll grow too. I mean, like, why? I don't know. Like, because animal experiments, people do crazy crap. We made glow-in-the-dark cats, clone sheep. And this is easy. So, I mean, people do this kind of stuff all the time for science experiments. People are photographing red sprites like it's nothing now. It used to be very, very rare. For me, there was no images originally of them at all. Did Snow White always have the super rosy cheeks? Let's see. Well, I don't know. Snow White. Ta-da! Not the new film. I am not sure. It does look a bit much to me, but this is not one I'd swear to. I have said before, though, that I don't. Yeah, okay, let's see. Open image, new tab. I don't know. See, she had longer hair for me, and what was the last time we were talking about? We don't remember this line and these red things, and I really don't remember that much bow going on. Even the last time I looked at it, I saw it was a tiny little bow. Now she looks like she's got a whole helmet on. Yeah, it looks like the bow got bigger. Like, it's huge. Wasn't it a cute little tiny bow last time I looked? I think that bow is definitely upgraded. It looks kind of weird. Yeah, I think that thing has definitely gotten bigger. You know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't remember seeing that. Was it really a Mandela? I'm not 100%. And then I go back 3 weeks later, and then the same thing is like 3 times larger. I'm like, okay, yes, it was probably a Mandela, because it's grown. I feel like if I saw that when I was a kid, I'd be like, what's that thing on her head? See, no images. I tried limb transplant, limb, multi-limb. I tried a bunch of stuff. Could not. I found those drawings, like cartoon style drawings, but that was it. I tried on Google. This. Non-neural. I'm not even sure if that's it, though. Maybe they're talking about some brain thing. Okay, so, yeah, so what you're saying, what's that stuff on the head? Those are the gills that are coming out of that gill hole. I guess now the gills are just flopping around on the side of their head instead of inside inside their head like they used to be. Okay. We have hoverflies, another from Mr. Cheesy. These, apparently, there are these flies that look a whole heck of a lot like bees. And there's hundreds and hundreds of species. Like, in North America alone, there's 870 species of these things. And they actually do eat nectar just like bees. So they act like bees, they look like bees, but they're not bees. They're flies, and they're called hoverflies. I have not seen any. I mean, I think if I saw this, I'm actually do inspect the bees a lot just to make sure there's no weird ones around. I have not seen any that were this different from bees. In order to fool me, they'd have to look a lot more like bees. But if I saw this and it looked like a bee, I would remember. And I have not seen these, but they should be around here because they're freaking everywhere. I mean, they were given places where they're not at, and it was like Antarctica and one island and who knows the heck where kind of thing. There's only a few places that don't have these. 6,000 species and 2,000 genera. Common throughout the world and found on all continents except Antarctica. Harmless to most mammals, although many species are mimics of stinging wasps and bees. Hovering behaviors like that of hummingbirds. Hovering in general may be a means of finding a food source. Okay, so yes, everywhere there's millions of flies. They look like bees. Look at that one. It totally looks like a bee. This one also. Blech. Okay, so now we have millions of these bee fakes. White. Yeah, I don't remember Snow White having a white layer. I don't remember ever seeing anything like that. I feel like I did notice that, and I was like, I don't think they would have showed that in the old days. You don't show the underlayers. Okay, so who was it that had this one? This thing, Jackie found this creepy thing kind of on the storyline of the cannibals. Have you ever heard of this? Okay, so apparently in Dawson City, there's a tradition where you drink alcohol with a human toe in it. So supposedly somebody lost their toe and somehow they became a tradition of floating it in the alcohol, and then you drink the alcohol. Like, I don't really get what they just keep pulling it back out and drying it with salt and then putting it back in the alcohol, and then I don't know. And then there's like this weird story, like one time somebody was drinking the alcohol and fell and accidentally swallowed the toe, and then they had to get another toe, and then there's been 7 or 8 toes, and now there's a fine of $2,500 if you consume the toe. And in June 2017, the toe was stolen, then returned via mail to the owner. And it's called the Sourtoe drink. It's like, what the? So there's been 10 of these now over the course of since 1973. So, like, where do they get these from? Apparently, some were amputated due to problems. Some were from frostbite. I don't Or it just seems like it's kind of more of that cannibal story that is everywhere. Okay, got all those. I don't have a lot today, but I can go on my stored stash. You know, I think I could have been like, well, maybe I just didn't know about it. But there's just been so much of that general trend that I am very suspicious. Okay, so now I think I have mentioned that here the Straits of Hormuz, that everybody was afraid Iran would close, which I don't think they will, because they'll just be hurting their allies. So, like, the point of hurting the West, you wouldn't be accomplishing that with closing the Straits of Hormuz. Plus, it's going to have problems because, you know, there's other countries over here that want to use it. But one thing I really noticed is that I just don't remember it being so, like, pinchy like this. Like, it just didn't have this huge tight pinch here. So I've been looking at that for a while. And then the other thing I don't remember is this big encroachment of water. This used to be fairly smooth along here. I don't even remember this big stinking island over here. I don't even know what it has a name or what. So that thing, confusion. So I always called this Qatar, but lately I hear everybody calling it Qatar, so I will assume that is what it is called now, Qatar. But I don't remember it being out here on this, like, nub by itself. Where's the edge of this thing? I think that's the edge of it. So, I am not sure on that, but I know there was not a nub of earth land right there. It was smooth around here. So we got this big pinch. So, I forgot how I found this, but there's some weird stuff going on around here. Okay, so here is Oman, and this is United Arab Emirates, sort of. I mean, this really is, but over here it gets complicated. So I'm going to call it Emirates because I'm too lazy to say the whole name all the time. Oman and Emirates. Okay, except for, this is Emirates here, except for right here. What's going on here? This is United Arab Emirates here, but then right here is Oman again. So it's a piece of over here is here, but then in the middle of this Oman is Emirates again. So it's Emirates, Oman, Emirates. And I'm like, what in the hell? I was talking the other day about all this enclave, exclave thing is getting crazy. Well, here's some more of it. I don't know, maybe Shari can chime in if she remembers any of this crazy town. Because it's not far from Iran over here. But then it's, we're not done, because there's Oman here, there's a donut of Oman here, and then over here is more Oman. So this piece where it's all pinchy in here, which I don't remember existing, is also Oman. So it's all chopped up, and I don't remember there being all these little bits of Oman anywhere. It was just, you know, maybe an island, maybe I'd miss an island, but not this. Okay, so exclaves, I guess they're called. I don't know. They're pieces of Oman. I don't think that they're autonomous, though, but what the heck. So I guess, I actually shouldn't be that shocked, because Alaska is that for America, right? We have this Alaska sticking way out there, and I never really thought about that much, but we were always weird, because we had a chunk of Alaska with, like, Canada in between, and then it was the USA again. And there were islands like that, like Greenland and stuff, but there wasn't much like that on the regular mainland. So, but then it gets more strange, because if you come in here, the Emirates, I mean, how many were there? So the Emirates are like kind of like a, I don't really understand the whole government thing, but there's like multiple territories that have kind of agreed to be like one territory, and the one group is called United Arab Emirates, but there's individual Emirates all in here. So I was looking at the map, and I just, like, I've never heard of some of them, is the thing that's getting to me. Okay, so here is, this is Dubai, and then there's other ones. Let me just look over here. Okay, Dubai. Okay, Dubai. We know Dubai, fine. But then it gets weird because over here it's, how do you even say it? Ras Al Khaimah. Okay, but there's some of Ras Al Khaimah here, but there's also some here. Okay, now this green is Sharjah, but there's Sharjah here, and then there's some here, here, and there. Okay, and it looks like there might be a dot in here. Okay, okay. Now this brown is Dubai. Wait, this was over here, but, oh, I'm sorry. This was Abu Dhabi, not Dubai. Dubai here, Abu Dhabi. I don't know why I always get those two confused. Okay, so Abu Dhabi, Dubai's here, but there's also Dubai here. So that's all chopped up. I think that's the only chopped up ones. Okay, so the pink ones, the green ones, and then Dubai. And I've not heard of most of these. So Ajman, have you heard of Ajman? Fujairah, Sharjah, Ras Al Khaimah, Al Kuwain. That's that purple stuff. Then, as if that's not complicated enough, there's some areas under joint control, like this one, which is, I think, let's see, red with green. I think that's that one. That's under control of two of them. This one is under control of Oman and Ajman. And I don't even know. Claimed by Sharjah. I don't even know where that is on here. And claimed by disputed areas under Iranian administration. So Iran is controlling this area over here now. I mean, do you remember Iran controlling chunks over here? With Sharjah, and also this is claimed by Ras Al Khaimah. That one, it's funny because I can't even see where those two are. I only see these two, which are those two, I think. So where are these two at? I don't even see them. Maybe they'll show up later. I don't know. I just feel like I've looked at that section before, and I just don't remember, like, that total crazy town going on over here. Like, it's utter crazy town, and it's right over. So the map I just looked at is going to be this piece over here, because up here is Oman, and then here is all that stuff I just showed you. And then here is the Oman donut. I don't think they call it that, but it looks like one of those kind of raggedy donut shapes. Okay, so I don't know. It's just crazy to me that what's going on here with Oman. I don't remember it being that big either. I mean, it's bigger than the Persian Gulf. Jeez, man. Jeez. So part of it, as I was just kind of going over the map looking for strange territories, I saw some of those. But this donut thing, I ran into that on some travel show. It does look like a dragon. I know, huh? So, that shape. It looked to me like it was some kind of ghost dinosaur or something. There's like the ears, there's the eye, I don't know, like a teeth or a fang or something. There's the neck. And then there's like little Tyrannosaurus arms. And then the ghost body. And then it's even got like backbone bits growing along the back here. So, yes. I don't know why so many locations look like animals now. Like Russia looks like a giant horse. China looks like a giant chicken. It seems like everybody's getting along though. So like the travel people who visited that, so they basically went through the Oman Donut and back into the Arab Emirates, and they're like, oh, we've been getting along peacefully for all this time, and everybody's friends, and they're like, oh, we have family living in the Oman Donut. They didn't call it the donut, but I'm calling it the donut. And everybody just all has relatives everywhere and blah blah blah. So I don't know, it didn't seem like they were going to breed a war over there. It looked like it was pretty peaceful. I've actually never heard of any fighting over there. Who knows, maybe that's for a future timeline. I've been hand feeding the roadrunners. They follow me around. You know those things you used to not even see one within 2 blocks because they're like gone. And I did notice that they're like sitting on the fence, like yeah, all catty now. So they're not like they were. We don't have a ton of roadrunners around, but still, it's weird to see them sitting on the fence. Okay, so there's that, the donut. But see, I just don't remember that pinchy spot and that island. What is that island even? Maybe I should look at the map. Persian Gulf map. Now, do we have... You know, ideally, we could just look at the Google Earth, but it doesn't label stuff. Looks like it's Keslam Island or something. I can't really quite read it. Keslam Island. Interesting. Okay. Sharjah, Oman. Anyway, yeah, that's new. And oh, crazy. So Bahrain, there's no way that it was a separate island before. I mean, because there was not that there. There wasn't all these islands all in the Gulf. It's just, it's crazy to me. I actually watch this thing form. Every time I come back, it is pinched in harder over here. None of the 7 Emirates can stand each other. None of the rulers. Well, okay. They were just talking to regular people. Looks like Bahrain is an island from what I can see. What do we got going on? Okay. That's Qatar. I'm going to try to say it. But, like, look, okay. I mean, that's an island, isn't it? There's a bridge here to get there. What is this thing? It's separate, so I think it has to be an island. Bahrain. Let's see. What does the wiki have to say? Small. It's an archipelago of 50 natural islands and 33 artificial islands, centered on Bahrain Island, which makes up 83% of the country's mass. So yes, it is an island with a bunch of other little islands around it. Definitely an island. I mean, I think it has to be, right? But lots going on in there. Let's see what Palm Islands are looking like. We haven't looked at those in a while. Well, it hasn't been that long, but Palm Islands. Yep. Okay. This is interesting. So we just have, it's all closed. That's interesting. It was not all closed. It's all closed. Man, these are fat now. It's all closed, but this. I don't know what's going on here, but it wasn't like that. This thing wasn't there. So now there's these. Okay, so there's been changes to that. That is so fat now. Look at how fat it is. Okay. What the heck's going on over here? I assume they're building something, but it looks kind of like... Oh, it's crazy. Alright. Yoink. How's this thing looking? I don't know why it looks all scribbled on over here. This is obviously an old one and a new. Why can't I have... You know, this is crazy because last time I was here, we had a full image of the built out island here. There wasn't like this old image. I mean, like, what's going on over here? This is not from... It doesn't even say the date, but it has to be pretty old. I mean, we definitely had full images of this. So I'm wondering if this is hiding something. Like, what's going on that side of the island? Wow. I don't remember this thing being here. Oh, look at... Okay, so... Dang. There's so many houses in here. It's so fat. When I first looked at it, there was just one row of houses here and one row of houses here, and they were tight. And now, you know, you could put 20 houses across, so it is definitely bigger. Well, it's got a little loading docks everywhere. Oh, it's extending out into the center. Another one. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh my god, it's crazy. This is all filled in here. Okay, that wasn't all filled in. These weren't here. These little spokes got really fat out here. This wasn't here. This was not this much. Oh, this is so crazy. All these swimming pools weren't in here. Or I don't know. I assume maybe it's just blue colored whatevers, but there wasn't blue colored whatevers. Okay, this is from when? This is so crazy. So this is from 3/15. We have looked at this since March, and it didn't look like that. Okay, let's just try. Where is those date things again? Historical imagery. Let me just see what we got going on here. Okay. This is so weird that I can't. From 2020, we have a completed one, but when you zoom, you just don't get to see the completed. That is really bizarre. Oh, you get to see the completed one here, though, or like half completed. That's strange. So why is it that we can't at least have this one from 2019 that we can zoom now? Why are they putting that old one there? Oh, strange business. Okay, I'm going to end the historicals. That's just ridiculous. They're... Oh, not much on here. It actually looks like there's less, but now I'm just wondering if this is an old image. Data entry from when? It said, I think it said 4/4. 4/4/2025. Okay. You know, it looks like there's a lot more sand and a lot less space between. And it is, oh, this is interesting. So this is like the world's crappiest image because it's all overexposed and it pretty much hides how much stuff is going on, but there is a lot more stuff than last time I looked. Look, it's all like grown up palm trees and everything. It's all built out, but it's so faded that you can't really see. This looks like it's totally done. Low quality imagery. Huh. Weird. So I feel like, yes, there is more done here, but it's like being hidden by this excessively too bright and not properly focused image, which is significantly different than the image quality on those. Oh, okay, we got this big square here. And if you zoom, okay, just over, I mean, can't they do like some light correction or something before they stick the square on here? It's very suspicious. Okay, let me just check this to make sure. Oh, okay, so I thought that this was just blown out, but actually it's just extremely overexposed, and it is there. I don't know why they can't do any, like, you know, if I get an image like that, I just bring it over to my, like, basic photo editing and just turn down the light a little bit so that you can freaking see. I don't see why they wouldn't have done that here. It's very weird. I feel like Mandela's hiding stuff all the time with these. Okay, let's see what else we got going along here on the coast. Oh, this is cute. Did we see these before? I don't think these were nearly this complete last time I looked. I do kind of remember this, but I don't remember this spokes on here. From 2 months ago. Interesting. Okay. Oh, it's getting busy over here. Well, I think we're going to get a lot of stuff in here. This is absolutely getting crazy over here. Okay, there is the strange Qatar. You know, how long until Iran starts getting a bunch of stuff? I think it's kind of growing stuff over here. This is Iran, right? Yes, that's, oh no, is it Pakistan? Wait. This is Pakistan. Yes, so Iran starts right there. Okay, so Pakistan's doing stuff out here. So, half done stuff, or at least the Mandela's not done. This looks very artificial over here, but we're seeing a lot of weird stuff like that just show up, and it is natural. There's another weird thing. Ports. Okay, so Iran, not yet. So the recent story was that Iran's not doing anything over here because there's a whole bunch of mountains here, and it would be really expensive. Plus, they just like to be inland where it's safe behind the mountains. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. That they did say they have some ports over here because you got to get stuff into the country, but it's minimal. So, I have a feeling we're going to see more stuff on this side too, though. It's sort of developing. Little port over there. I'm going to keep an eye on the coast of Iran. This is weird over here too. I don't remember this. See this little nub of India? It wasn't like that. This area, You know, when this first started happening, this area up here was just like maybe like this big. And now this area is larger than Australia. It is absolutely insanely huge. So either Australia got smaller or this area got bigger. Iran has no artificial islands. Not yet. I have a feeling you will get them. Let's see. Now, the story I just heard like a couple weeks ago was that you didn't have artificial, you didn't have much going on over here besides a port. And that was it. So, if anything shows up, see, this looks pretty artificial over here, though. I wouldn't call it an island, but you know, those Palm Islands, they're not exactly islands, they're peninsulas, because they are stuck onto the mainland. I don't know if peninsula is the exact word, but they're not exactly an island. How far does Iran go? Oh, it goes way up there. Okay. Keep looking. Anyway, we'll keep a sharp eye out, because if we start to see more fishy business along the coast, and you know what? All the other places are getting more and more of this stuff. I'm betting you, like this kind of area right here, I think we're going to see, wait, what's this? See? Highly suspicious over here. And then like, oh, it's too expensive to build out there. Okay, but you built all this. Oh, it's too hard to get roads, but you have a road right here. So I don't trust that narrative, because I think that it's going to show up. Well, what's all this business? It's like somebody's busy in here. Oh, it looks like these might be salination kind of thingies or something. Or desalination, I should say. Oh, there's another batch of them over here. These are cool. Perfect square. That's interesting, because usually when I see these, they're just whatever shape is convenient. They're not usually like these perfect squares. So these weird like coastal barrier islands are just so common in this timeline. Dum -dum. Okay, wait. So how far do we go? See? And it's all the way up there. Okay. I'm not going to look at the whole thing, but I don't have that many Mandelas today, so we can kill some time. We have bigger problems in Iran than building islands. You know what? I don't know why anybody's building them, but all I know is they're showing up all over the world. So I have a feeling that they're going to show up in Iran just because they're showing up everywhere. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe Iran will be special and won't have them, but I bet you those ports along Iran are going to get bigger and bigger. And that's what happened in San Diego, too. It has a little bitty port, and it's like 5 times bigger than it was. We didn't used to have the cruise ships could not dock in San Diego because we had such a tiny little port, and it was too shallow. And then about 7-ish years ago, a bunch of San Diego Mandela people are like, holy hand grenades, since when are they cruise ships docking here? And there's a whole weird story, because one of my friends, his parents love cruises, and he used to have to drive them to Los Angeles like twice a year because that's where the cruise ships all docked. Every trip that they ever went on, he had to drive them to Los Angeles. But the ships come here now. He would never have had to drive them to Los Angeles, at least not every freaking time. But hey, and it's who is that other guy that lives on the coast here? Oh, I can't remember his name. He did the Dimensional Hotel. But yeah, he does not. He also is like me. Is like, what the heck? There were no cruise ships. When did Pakistan have a beach? I'm not sure on that. You know, I have to say I'm not as good on this area as I have been on some of the others. But they do have a nice beach now, don't they? You know, I kind of am similar to you that I don't remember them having one, but you know, I thought they were more in here, but that's not one elsewhere too. So I used to look at this, I just look at the overall shape a lot. I didn't actually look at the individual countries. I do know that Saudi Arabia got like huge. And I know this got pinched, and I think this is longer. I think this is wider in here too, actually. And then there's a very tight pinch there. I don't remember it being that tight compared to those. Now, there's definitely these islands were not in here. Nopey nope nopes. That looks about the same, except for Egypt has all this green stuff now. Crazy Egypt. That Nile is really helping them out a lot more in this timeline. Plus, look how fat it is out here. That wasn't a thing before. That's not even green stuff. Like, this is kind of sneaky because it's all green, but then the actual river, I guess, is just here. I'm assuming they're flooding it all the way out. But over here, it actually is just, well, I guess it's a lake now, but it is all water out here. Crazy times. That was not there like that. Might have been a thin little river, but that was it. Yeah, Iran for me is a lot bigger. India used to be real big, and then Iran was like Midland, but like Iran is really big now. And Kazakhstan even larger. Crazy. Gotta wonder what role Kazakhstan's gonna play to be so massive. You know, it's like watching this weird movie and then there's like these clues. Oh, look at the border here too. Is that the border of Kazakhstan? It wasn't all super straight like that, was it? I don't think so. Oh, crazy. Yeah, so we're just watching it and going, all right, what's going to happen next? Why did that happen? Many people trust their government. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Does my government always been this crooked, or I'm just noticing now maybe some of each? Many in Iran are against their current leader. You know, Iran is really pretty much not causing too much trouble. I mean, people say that they're funding this and that terrorism. I don't know, because I can't trust my government, to be honest. I mean, like, this is the same government that said Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. That's why we have to invade immediately. And then we got there, and then nobody found anything. So I don't really trust them. Oh, and also we had to invade Afghanistan, and where did that get us? Nowhere. And then Vietnam, and then Korea. They were all total mistakes. I mean, the nicest word I could say for it. So I don't trust any of that now. None of it. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. And it's not like we don't fund a whole bunch of terrorism all over the world, because who created Al-Qaeda? America did. It's actually in the history books. We created it to help, we wanted them to fight Russia when Russia was in Afghanistan. So we created them because we didn't want to fight Russia. So they were our proxy fighters. And then they were our enemies for a while, and then they were excused to invade a couple countries, and now we're buddies again. We're like kind of friends with Afghanistan. We gave them back Afghanistan, and we gave them Syria. The head of Syria now is an Al-Qaeda guy. High-ranking Al-Qaeda guy is the head of... So, like, who's the terrorist then, you know? Like, all these years we're supposed to be... Al-Qaeda's supposed to be our enemy. Now we're like... I mean, it doesn't... It's all baloney. That's why I can't trust any of it. I mean, and it's not that I trust all the other governments either, but it just seems like whenever there's like a power, like a group of powerful people, they lie. They tell you whatever they want you to believe so that you will just go along with whatever they're trying to do. Iran has not invaded any country in more than 2,000 years. See, like, from my perspective, they're sitting there minding their own beeswax. Now, are they funding Hezbollah and blah, blah, blah? I don't know. But you know what? Like, we funded a lot of terrorism against them. So, if they are, I don't think you can really say that they're the only ones doing that. Plus, I don't really know if they actually are, because you can't trust anything. Pakistan was inland northwest of India. That's kind of how I remember it, but that's just one of those where I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, I feel like Iran is pretty stable, and they really aren't invading anybody or anything, and I don't want to get rid of the current admin, because who knows what the next admin would be. That's kind of how I feel about Russia, too, because what my understanding is that a lot of Russian diplomats and ranking power leaders are actually much more war hawk than Putin. So all this, like, getting rid of Putin, like, what are you going to accomplish? You're just going to get more war hawkiness than that. So, like, but maybe they want that, because maybe they want more wars. Destabilizing these countries that are reasonably stable, it never ends well. USA is less than 250 years old, and less than 20 years it was not in a war. Yep. You just can't trust anything that the governments say. That's the thing. And I mean, many in Iran against the current leader. How do you know? I mean, like, you'd actually have to go to Iran and ask people, because you can't trust our government to tell you the truth. Like, we were told that when we invaded Iraq, we would get parades in the street because everybody in Iraq hated their leader. And when we killed Saddam, they would love us. But you know what? They don't love us because we bombed the crap out of their cities. And so we are not their favorite person. And we did not get parades in the street. And it's not exactly shocking. So you really can't trust any of that. In fact, none of it ever comes out true, does it? I'm trying to think, like, when's the last time any of that propaganda turned out to be true? I just can't. You know, maybe you just have to be like 50 before you start to notice. It's like, wait, I got lied to the last 20 times in a row. Back to the Cold War again. I'm like, oh man, they're rebooting the Cold War narrative. I am so done with the Cold War narrative. I think I deleted something I didn't want to. Yikes. Everybody's all like, oh, we got to invade them because they're going to invade us. And everybody's using the same, Iran's going to invade us, therefore we have to bomb them first. And then they use that excuse for, like, every invasion, like every invader ever. Oh, well, we have to preeminently protect ourselves. It's like, ugh. Like, none of those times we did that has it ever worked out. All right, here we go. Da-da. I did that one. I think I did this. Did I do this one? This fog bow thing. This weird. So we had fog bows before, but now there's no fog here, really. It's just that very light, high fog. It's not foggy. So I don't know what's going on with these, but there's always more weird rainbows. Fog bows without fogs. I think somebody said that in the comments, fog bows. That's a rainbow without rain. Sometimes raindrops can be moved considerable distances through strong winds, so that a rainbow appears without apparent rain. Okay. Really? I mean, this person isn't a scientist here, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is a new story, because There's kind of a rainbow. There's no rain. Part of the illusion of fog bows is that they appear to be high in the sky, but they're formed by the interaction of sunshine through tiny water droplets close to the ground. There's fog here. It's just so dispersed you can't see it. Another example of invisible clouds are stratus layers that form at the alto and cirrus levels. Sometimes they can be so thin that they're not visible until the sun begins to set and its rays hit the layer obliquely, causing shadows and anti-crepuscular rays. It's the same thing in this picture. The clues to the cloud's existence is in the sun's interaction with it. Okay, so that's the new story. Invisible fog causes the fog bow. Invisible clouds can cause rainbows. So that story of needing clouds is gone. Okay, I might have covered that last time because I think I covered this one. I did Merv. Maybe I had missed that one. Solar halo. Did I do this one? This one starts out weird because first he's looking through that. They're just like this crazy. It's so bright it looks fake. Solar halo. Does that not look absolutely fake? When these first showed up, they were just kind of fuzzy around the edge. Now they're like, ugh, it doesn't even look real. It looks like the AI made it. But that's how they look now. Sometimes, anyway. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that Russia does what they can to... I mean, like, every politician tries to control their image. It's not like ours don't do it. Like, I've seen so many times where I'm like, that's obvious. Like, okay, how many times did... For instance, for a while, there was this thing, like, I ride my bicycle to work, right? And so some of the politicians had these photo ops where they were riding their bicycle, click, click, click. Well, then it turns out that what they were doing is they were having their Secret Service drive near to work, unload a bicycle. Then they would get on the bicycle and drive like one block and they do their photo ops. And then they would get off and then they would put the bicycle back into the back of the vehicle and then they would be driven the rest of the way. Or maybe they would just do the last 3 blocks and then show up there, whatever. But it was all fake. They were not riding their freaking bicycle to work. And there's so many things like that. Like, oh, I found this granny who needed help crossing the road. And it's like, that's all set up. So, yes, I am sure that Putin does that. He's no idiot. So he also is. And, they still have elections and all the regular politics in Russia. So, of course, it's going to be all cultivated. He'd be an idiot not to do it. All the politicians are like that. You're not going to survive if you don't do it because some other bunch of politicians will do it really well and you'll lose your slot. So Putin has a black belt, rides horses, goes hunting, and swims in ice water. Who else does these things? Now, as best I can tell, Putin does indeed have considerable experience in martial arts. He got that early on with the KGB. Now, the horse riding, so I have some experience with horse riding. And I will tell you, I do not think he has a lot of experience riding horses. I think those were photo ops. And the reason why is because when those horses like kind of gallop or trot, he's just like, blah, 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 blah. I don't think he really has a lot of practice with it. Now, you can sit on a horse and go like that, and it's pretty easy. I could do it. Anybody could do it. You could put a kid on there if the horse is really well trained. And, of course, if anything goes awry, they're not going to show that video. So I actually don't think I have a strong suspicion that Putin is not a big athlete type. They showed him fishing once, and I'm like, either Russians cast their, like, he was all like, ugh. I'm like, is that how you cast in Russia, or you just don't have any experience casting? Because I have never seen such a choppy, yucky looking casting of for fishing ever. So like, and I don't even care, because you know what? He doesn't need to know how to do all that stuff. He just needs how to know how to run the country. So, but I think that all that athletic business, I think that's probably pretty fake. He's fought a bear. I don't care. Because he looks like he can't do them, you know. I see that all the time. If you play tennis and then some person tries to pretend they play tennis, the minute you see them moving, you're like, you don't know how to play tennis. And that's how I felt like with his casting. Unless they're really weird about how they do it in Russia. And his horseback riding, I'm like, no. You are not an aficionado of horseback riding. You got put on a horse. You might sit on one occasionally. Yeah, so, but then again, this is all a game. I don't care if he can ride horses or fish. He needs to know how to run the country. That's all that really matters. But the other stuff is just, it's fluffed to keep your image, and he is in okay shape. I mean, you got to realize Putin's, he's like freaking 70 now or something. So when you say he's pasty and flabby, first of all, he's in a freezing cold freaking country, and they don't get a lot of sun, and he is a Slavic, and I promise you that we are white as pasty boys. I'm like half Slavic, by blood anyway. And thank God I got some of the Italian genes, or I would be really pasty. But so when you think that he's in a freezing country without much sun, and he is a white boy, how old is Putin? And he's old. He's freaking 72. Okay, I knew I was pretty old. He's 72 years old. When you think about that, he is actually in pretty good shape. I can only hope I am that good shape when I am 72. He doesn't run the country either. I think he has a lot of power. He technically does not totally run the country. He has a lot of power. But yes, there is a legislature, and there's voting, and he still has to ram his crap through all that. But certainly the country's being run a lot better than America. I don't realize how bad we sucked until I saw Russia, because they are able to do so much with so much less money that then I have to wonder, as they say, oh, Russia is so crooked. I'm like, how can they run a war, beat most of the West? They've rebuilt most of the eastern Ukraine that they took over within several years. They're like, they have really good medical, and a lot of it's free. Like if you have childbirth, it's all free. And they have pretty good like homeless care and stuff. Like if you're homeless, they have plenty of shelters. You don't see homeless people on the street. There's so much stuff they have with so much less money that I'm like, we must really have a lot of crookedness going on in order to get beaten so bad. I mean, I don't even know this guy, and he might be evil as sin, and he may well be, because he is a politician, and I don't think you can be an angel and keep that level of power. Somebody else will knock you off your peg. But he does run the country really well, and you don't really appreciate how well it is until you realize, like, what it is compared to here. And they came from a really bad situation. Was it the 90s when the Soviet Union broke up? And then they tried to be more Western, and then the Western countries helped them sell off all of their government property, and there was a lot of shenanigans there. But they were in bad shape, so you got to think about how far they've come, too. And he is very smart, you have to admit. He is very, very smart. I wouldn't say that, I don't even know the guy. But he has got to be very, very sharp to keep his position all this time and the level of power. Maybe that's just the thing here. There's so many parasites in the upper levels, and they all are just taking out so much lifeblood out of our country. Russia has like one big parasite who makes sure that he doesn't take too much blood, and the rest of the blood is left for the rest of his people. The other thing that Russia's really been doing is they've been going through and just getting rid of organized crime in a lot of city by city by city. They're getting rid of the other parasites. I've had these on before. I probably should have used this as the thumbnail, but they have changed since I had these on. These are the Ganges River's Dolphins. Apparently now they don't have eyes. This is a crazy town. And then the teeth are really weird here. I don't remember like that, like zippers. Ganges, it looks weird. It's like out of some kind of horror story. Giant teeth, no eyes. Ganges River Dolphin. I mean, I've had these on. I just don't think that the eyes were like, they just have this like little speck thing. I think I remember seeing eyes on them. That's the thing. I don't remember seeing that. I remember seeing, okay, they were small, but they had them. They had eyes. And now the teeth are like big. So I feel like the snout thing has gotten longer. These teeth things are weirder. That's the same one. See, there's no eyes. Nope. It's looking like some kind of dinosaur thing, really. Look at that. You would go, oh yes, it's 1,000 years ago they had eyeless river dolphins. How come I can't see a good image of the teeth? These things are bizarre looking. You'd think there'd be more decent images of them. What's going on? Pink River. That's a different one, I think, than the Ganges. Oh, what the heck is this? Alright, so the pink ones are getting giant, like, head lumps over here. Okay, but Ganges has it too. Look at that thing! Arrgh. Let me see if I can find something on Google. Weirdest looking dolphin ever. Almost no images anywhere. Tell me how that makes sense. Okay. That's Indus. Okay, they put a what? They are essentially blind. They looks like they put a little tire on him or something. No eyes. Okay. Come on. Nah. Yeah, I am almost positive that these things had eyes before. I remember seeing eyes, and that is not what I saw. If I saw that, I would have been freaked out. That is not right. Trying to get a better image of that teeth. Okay. That one, how come the one had it, all those teeth visible, but that one doesn't? Are they able to like pull their lips back? Okay, now that one you see the zipper teeth. Maybe they can pull their lips back. But see, that one looks like he can't hide his teeth. But then here, the teeth are hidden. So what's up with that? This one, the mouth is shut. It looks like there's no way to hide all those teeth. Do they just get longer teeth when they're older, or what's going on here? That looks like a whole different dolphin. It has normal snout. Well, I won't say normal, but more normal snout. This is Genghis. It should have this snout. Oh, what the heck? That image? That's not right. That one's really long. There's something weird about these things. Do they just... Maybe the story is that they change a lot as they age or something. Okay, there's the skull. You definitely see there's a lot of teeth in that. So what is... Some of them have lips and some don't have lips? Look, that guy got almost no teeth. What, do they all grind down or something? That's totally weird. They're like every one of these things has different teeth. That guy's got a lot. That guy's got a lot. I think their snouts are getting longer. Yeah, it's like... I don't know. It's like a horror movie. Copy and paste this link. I don't see a link though. Wait, is it up here? In the 90s, all the prostitutes in Europe were from Russia. Well, because Russia, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, their economy was just trash. I mean, I'm assuming that still happened in this timeline. As best I can tell, it did. And they were in terrible shape, and a lot of women were just trying to get, like, out of the country because there was no future. But since then, and mostly because of under the watch of Putin, the economy has been totally repaired, and I would say that you could argue they're doing much better than the United States right now. I mean, if you look at the cost of rent versus the cost of your average salary, those kind of things, you could live a lot better there. So it's totally different. I was actually, yeah, he speaks 3 languages. He's obviously extremely intelligent. Nobody can argue with that. Yeah, they've come an incredible long way, and it's actually shocking to me. That's why I've really been paying attention to them lately, because I just started going, like, wait a minute. And like, they make sure to build plenty of housing, for instance, okay? So the cost of housing didn't go insane unless you're, like, in the middle of a really big city because you run out of room. But even then, it is not nearly as insane as it is here, because they just build. So you can always just go, and then they've got good trains, so you can they just keep building out at the end of the train, and you can just get on the train and go home, you know, and you can have really cheap rent if you don't mind going a couple train stops. And since they have a big country, build. Well, why are we don't do that? You know, there's a whole bunch of bullcrap. Why, you know, it's just so bizarre that we don't do that. So now it costs a fortune to have a house. It's not like the United States doesn't have land. I mean, you go out a little ways, there's a ton of land. So why aren't we doing it? I mean, I could talk about it for 2 hours of all the obstacles that there are to building. But allowing it to be like that is ridiculous. So people can hardly survive because the cost of rent is so high. You can't buy a house anymore. It is completely freaking insane. And it, you know, I think it crushes the soul, because most of your rent, most of your income just goes to having a little tiny place to live. For a lot of people, that does not happen in Russia. If you want to have a kid here, you're going to owe $10,000 to the hospital. There it is free. Childbirth and childcare is free. If your child is born in Russia, it is a citizen, and all that stuff is provided for free, and it is good quality. So, like, you don't get your soul crushed the same way. There is... you know, you can work your way up, you can see the path, and you can't see it here anymore. If you're a kid working $20 an hour, you don't see the way out, you know? So yeah, one thing interesting about Russia is loans are very expensive. They are very expensive. But what people do is they just save up and then they can just buy. You can buy a piece of land and put in a little house and then add on, because they don't have insane amounts. Like, you can't do that here. You cannot buy a piece of land and put a house on it, because you will be trying to get permits for 10 to 15 years at least. I mean, I know people who have literally not been able to get permits for 10 years. They could not get them because it's this endless treadmill of crap. You can't do it. Who places the crowns? I don't know. The algorithm does. I have no... That thing showed up with these crowns like last week, and I don't know anything about it. I mean, I clicked on this thing, and that's what it says it's top fans. Vivian, you win. And, you know, it's weird because people who talk the most don't always get the top slot. So I don't know how they decide, but... See, here's the thing. Countries need children to survive. So there's going to be a big problem, because right now most countries aren't even having half as many kids as they need to have to just keep it kind of level. So that's why there's going to be big trouble in little China. And that is one of the reasons why Russia's trying to make it really easy to have kids, because they need it. Houses in Iran are mostly paid off, same in other places. Yeah, because here's the thing. If you make the house affordable, then you can save up and just own it. Here, if you have to pay, like, say you bought a really crappy little crap house, you pay $500,000. You'll be paying that off for 20 to 30 years or more. So you can't save up, because how long would you be saving to make an extra $500,000? And by the time you save $500,000, that house would now be costing $900,000. So you would never get there. So you have to take a loan. So, but if they keep the cost down, you could just save up and buy. So, like, if you go to Moscow, it is quite expensive. But if you go way out in the outskirts of Moscow, like 5 train stops or subway stops or whatever, yeah, it's not that bad. You can totally get a hotel out there, you know, or not a hotel, but an apartment for pretty cheap. But, you know, in the middle of a city is always going to be expensive. In the middle of the -- 1 city in your country is always going to be expensive. But I'm just talking about regular places, you know. The trouble with cities is you don't have any more room in the center. A bunch of people want to be in the center. There's no more room. You can't build. But then that's your choice, because if, say, you work in Moscow, okay, there are a lot of people who just get an apartment 5 train stops out. You don't even have to have a car. You can still walk there, walk to the train, get on. Don't have to pay a lot. I would never live in Moscow, because as a California girl, it's too freaking cold. I don't think I would handle it. I'm too spoiled. But that's the difference here. So here, say you don't want to live in San Francisco. In the 70s, you could do that. In the 70s, okay, I'm just going to... But there's no, like, trains and stuff, so you drive. I'll drive a half hour to work in San Francisco. But now every place around there also built up, and you can't, and there's empty slots, okay, but the cost to just build on it is so high, because one of the things is the government takes a huge chunk, like about 1/3 of the cost of building a house goes to the city. All these humongous fees for permits, and it's basically a money-making enterprise by the city. All those taxes and permits, they're making a profit. So builders then 1/3 of all of their expense automatically, sometimes more, is just given to the city. So it's a huge tax. So now they have to add 1/3 of the price on, and then they know it might take 10 years to make those houses. So there's a huge expense. Like, even going into it is a huge expense. they could spend 10 or 15 years attempting to build and never get permission. So it's a huge risk for them. The average person couldn't do it. So I could go to Russia and I could buy property, and then I could just get some permits, and I could just hire somebody to build. And there's going to be some paperwork, there's going to be some hassle, and maybe it'll take 3 or 4 months before they hook up the electricity, for instance, but it will happen. Here, it will not happen. You can't get it done. You just can't. And that's just like one of 100 problems in the United States. That is just ridiculous. In Denver, just for a room, sharing a house, asking $1,000 to $1,500 a month for just one room. That's okay. So one room sharing a house, you could get that here. Like if it was tiny and maybe you didn't have your own bathroom, I would say the cheapest you could probably find if for a room but no private bathroom might be like $800. That's basically what it's going for right now. As far as if you look in the listings. Now maybe you have a friend or something, you know, you can hook up for something cheaper, but that's here. If you go to San Francisco or I don't know about LA. LA is generally more than here. I don't know now, but it has been for a long time. Maybe if you go to like the ghetto, it'll be cheaper in LA, but Australia is affordable if you have a job. Yeah, it seems like Australia has dodged some of the baloney. Like their medical is still decent. I haven't heard a lot of complaints about their medical sucking. I haven't heard a lot of complaints about having to wait 6 months for medical care like in Canada and UK. So they're managing to avoid some of the problems anyway. All right, so let's see. We're at Ganges. Like, don't copy us, Australia. You don't want to copy us. All right, that's Ganges Isles. All right, these things. These are those slime molds. There are new slime molds constantly. Okay, now first let me just say that this is speeded up because, boy, this would be extremely creepy if this could happen all at this rapid space. So this is like a time-lapse thing. So slime molds, I've covered these before. They're like these little, what is it, bacterias or single-cell organisms, I believe. They exist separately. They live on their own. And then at some point, they just somehow agree to all clump together and become an organism. But apparently now, the story also is that they become an organism, at least some of them, and then they like spore or make spores or something. They become a fruiting body and make spores, and then like I guess they just die after that. So before, when they would become like a single creature and then they might split back out, and then it might become a single creature and they might split back out, and nobody knew what made, they thought maybe it was lack of food or blah blah. And okay, but now they do this. Now this, remember, is time lapse, but they basically then, I'm gonna just jump forward, but so they start forming these weird fruiting bodies. These ones apparently somehow slowly die as they extend out, and then they stiffen, and then they're dead. So they're like sacrificing themselves. I think they die right here. So once they get to here, then they start dying. They become stiff. There's the fruiting body. Like, I don't even see, like, why kill yourself to get 2 inches higher? Is it really going to do anything? Just release your spores the old-fashioned way. Leave them on the ground as you walk, whatever. But, you know, this makes for a more interesting narrative. Okay, so they die. They, turn into, whoops. All right, then it's just going to repeat over again, I guess. In the end, you have that, and I guess that's spores, and it's all dead. So that's the new narrative. They didn't used to just, like, fruit and die, but now they are. And there's, like, hundreds of kinds of these, too. Like, this one's newly discovered, but there's a load of these that do the exact same freaking thing. I found a bunch of them. Okay, so here's a bunch. And look at these. What is this? I don't remember any of these last time I looked. I think I saw one like this. I didn't see any of these others, though. So, I mean, this is just like fantasy land over here with these ridiculous things. Slime molds. I mean, like, come on. That's not natural. That is made to entertain humans. There is no way that so many things just happen to be cool looking. Our consciousness has to be involved in this. I mean, I see no advantage to just, like, committing suicide to get 2 more inches higher. In this timeline, India is very dirty. It was not like this in my timeline. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I have definitely heard a big narrative about that. I do remember, like, in certain areas, like, the junkyard was dirty, but I never was there, so it's hard for me to really comment on that. I used to pay $385 a month for 1 bedroom. Now, it's $800. Okay, so when I first moved here, you could get a 1-bedroom apartment, not in someone's house, but apartment was, you could get one for $350. Be like $350 down and $350 a month. And yeah, there was, it was kind of on the low end, but you totally could. And or maybe it was a studio, but it was a big studio. Now that's like a pipe dream. You can't even get a shack for that. And there's open land. It costs so much to build on the land. And then there's so many hurdles and it takes so long. And that's, and then, the other thing is our state is losing population. So if we're losing population, then how come the cost of housing keeps going up? There's some very fishy business because it is not following supply and demand. When demand drops, cost still creeps up, but slowly. Every now and then it goes down a little, but then it pops right back up, and it doesn't really follow demand that closely. And then if there's a little bit of demand, shoots through the ceiling, and then it stays up there. And that's one of the big problems with capitalism, is it's not normal capitalism. There's so many, like, weird things going on. So when in the 70s, when I was growing up, things made more sense. Like, supply and demand followed more of a reasonable pattern. So many things just sort of worked approximately the way that they should have. And a lot of the way that it is currently working in Russia is how it was in the 70s here. And I think that's the other reason I'm so interested in Russia. I'm like, you can work, you can save, you can buy a house. A lot of the balance over there is a lot like how it used to be here. They ruined Canada. It was not like that. Yeah, what happened in Canada, too? In the UK. It's crazy town. Yeah, look up slime molds. They're very creepy. If you look up the wiki. All the slime molds are different. I don't think they all make stocks. I know they didn't used to originally, any of them made the stocks. So they used to move around, but they didn't make the stocks. And they didn't do the fruiting and dying thing. Oh yeah, it is time to go, isn't it? It's time! Thanks, Shari, for warning me. You know what? Russia's like the backup plan if it goes to hell in a handbasket here. Hopefully we'll get our crap together, but I don't know. I don't know. I could learn that language, I think, in like a couple years. So they have a very easy visa program. So I've kind of like, I still want to live here. I grew up here, but if it really gets bad enough, that is kind of a backup plan. You know, it's tricky because you don't know what'll happen in Russia. Like, say Putin dies. I mean, he's, what, 70? He's not going to live forever. He could live another 30 years or he could die tomorrow. Then who takes over and how did they run the country? You know, so it's always tricky that way, too. You know, Australia is so expensive. I'd probably look into it, but here's the thing. First of all, becoming a citizen and having a work permit in Australia, I don't think it's easy. And Russia makes it fairly easy because they want more people. Now, they'll do the background check and all that, but I'll pass all that, so. But I can get a work permit and move there and become like I can have a 3-year work visa, like fairly easily. Not many countries you can do that you want to go to. You don't have to like know the language to get the work permit though. That's the thing. And I'm good at languages, so I'll figure it out. But you know, if it comes down to that, I'll start practicing before I go to. So yeah, you can get the 3-year work permit, but I think you can just renew that visa. I don't think you're like screwed once it ends. I'd have to look into it harder, but the 3-year work visa is pretty new. They called it the shared values visa. So I think as long as you didn't get into too much trouble and you weren't a criminal and there weren't any issues, then you could just renew that. They might make you leave the country and come back, but that's usually a pretty simple thing. You know, and they do speak pretty good English in a lot of Russia, but I could learn that. The problem with Australia is it's fairly expensive, and I wouldn't be able to get a residency. I think it'd be very difficult. Yeah, you get the 3-year visa, but you can work. Okay, so you can't vote, and but you can work. So you can buy land, you can work, you can do everything, but like vote. So like there's no like I think the only thing is like maybe there's a couple rights somewhere. Like they could throw me out. Okay, if I'm not a citizen, I can get the boot. But they don't throw you out unless you're like you did something bad. So. Maybe Putin dies and some other person decides as Americans get the hell out. I mean, that's always like a possibility, but yeah, Rus. Let's see. Do I know some Cyrillic R? Rusia. I think it's Ruski, right? Russian. Cyrillic. I'll have to learn it better. All right. Well, anyway, I don't even know. Maybe it'll become like utopia here, and I'll be like, why would I ever leave? I mean, it is my home country, so it's going to have to suck more. The other thing is I'm getting old, and I can't work forever, and I can sell my house here, and housing is really cheap in Russia. Pretty much surf on that. That savings for like a few decades, especially if I got a little short 20-hour a month job over there or something. So that's the other issue. You could totally retire and they have low crime. So yeah, there's a lot. We got to see how it spins out over here. All right, anyway, thanks everybody for coming. I'm just yapping about everything because I don't have that many Mandelas. Take care, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.